Born the son of a riverboat captain, Conway Twitty was born Harold Lloyd Jenkins in Friars Point, Mississippi on September 1, 1933. The family soon moved to Helena, Arkansas, where he learned to love not only country, but also blues and gospel music. Despite his interest in music, he originally planned to become a professional baseball player. Jenkins was talented enough to be offered a contract by the Philadelphia Phillies, but he was unable to join the team, since he was drafted into the Army during the Korean War. While he was serving in the Far East, he sang with a country band called the Cimarrons. Returning to America in 1956, Jenkins still had an open offer to join the Phillies, yet he decided to pursue a musical career after hearing Elvis Presley on the radio. With dreams of recording for Sun Records, Harold Jenkins headed to Memphis, where Sam Phillips did indeed sign him to a recording contract, but none of the tracks he cut were ever released. Jenkins' biggest contribution to the label was writing Rockhouse, a minor hit for Roy Orbison. In 1957, Jenkins decided that his real name was not memorable enough and sought a better name for show business. Bandmates recalled that the singer was looking at a roadmap when he spotted Conway, Arkansas, and Twitty, Texas, and chose the name Conway Twitty. In 1958, he moved to MGM Records, where he finally achieved success with his song It's Only Make Believe, one of 1958's biggest-selling worldwide hits.
It's only make believe, and here is Conway Twitty.
The song featured vocal support by Presley's backup group the Jordanaires. Heavily influenced by Elvis, Twitty continued to top the pop charts from 1958 to 1961. He also appeared in low-budget teen films Sex Kittens Go to College, Platinum High School, and College Confidential. Twitty's rock and roll fame arrived suddenly, and it went away just as quickly. By the beginning of 1961, his singles had stopped entering the top 40. Having been raised on country and gospel, he hankered after a career in country music when the rock and roll bubble burst. But it wasn't until 1965, when he walked out in the middle of a concert at a New Jersey nightclub and decided he wanted to become a country singer. He finally made the country top 10 with The Image of Me in 1968 and was at number 1 a few months later with Next in Line. In a very short time he became one of the most prolific country hit makers of all time. By adding subtle R&B, pop, and rock and roll influences, he defined and expanded the limitations of country music. In the early 1970s, the increased suggestiveness in much of his material, such as the song You've Never Been This Far Before, which spent 3 weeks at number 1 despite being banned by several radio stations, made Twitty perhaps country's first adult contemporary star. He also recorded many successful duets with Loretta Lynn, the pair becoming the CMA's Vocal Duet of the Year for 4 straight years, 1972 to 75. Twitty and Lynn toured regularly together and also shared business interests. An astute businessman, Twitty owned a music promotion company, a large slice of real estate, a burger chain called Twitty Burgers, and he built the Twitty City Complex, a theme park that also included the homes of Conway and his 4 children and his mother. Twitty City became one of Nashville's major attractions. It was opened in 1982. Fans would come from all over the world to see Conway Twitty at his home. And more often than not, Twitty himself would greet his fans and welcome them into the park. In 1981, Twitty was exiting his tour bus when he slipped on the steps and fell, hitting his head against the steps. John Huey, who was Twitty's steel guitar player, found him on the ground. Many people, including family members, said that Twitty suffered an extreme change in personality after the accident. According to daughter Joni, Twitty was not in a right state of mind for several months, saying in an interview that he had picked up a TV remote and began talking into it thinking it was a phone. Twitty recovered and spent the next decade recording hit songs and performing all over America. In 1988, Twitty received Country Music's Living Legend Award.
Your 1988 Living Legend. Legend Award is being presented to Conway Twitty.
On June 4, 1993, Twitty became ill while performing at the Jim Stafford Theater in Branson, Missouri, and was in pain while he was on his tour bus. He soon collapsed and was taken to the hospital. He was rushed into surgery. By coincidence, Twitty's longtime friend and singing partner Loretta Lynn just so happened to be at the same hospital with her husband, who was being treated for diabetes.
I said, "Come here, honey." I went over to him and he said, "Do you want to see Conway?" I said, "Why? What's wrong?" He said, "You want to see him? You're going to see him for the last time alive." So I went in telling Conway, I said, "Conway, don't you die on me." I said, "You know you love to sing." They come in right behind me and said, "Conway died."
Conway Twitty died in the early hours at Cox South Hospital in Springfield, Missouri. The cause of death listed as an abdominal aortic aneurysm. Conway Twitty was 59 years old. 2 months after his death, Twitty's last album, Final Touches, was released. Twitty was buried at Sumner Memorial Gardens in Gallatin, Tennessee, in a red granite vault, under the name Harold L. Jenkins. After Twitty's death, family squabbles over his mass fortune drove the Twitty empire into ruin. Twitty City was sold and soon demolished. Much of his belongings were sold at auction. Even family photos were put on the auction block. A sad ending to an incredible career. Conway Twitty scored over 54 #1 country hit songs and a #1 rock and roll hit with the song Make Believe. While Elvis Presley was crowned the king of rock and roll, fans find it fitting that Conway Twitty is regarded as the high priest of country music. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.